Hi, this is Brad with Baker County Trash Pickup. Today is Saturday, heading into week 10, I believe. Did not film loading all those because had quite a lot of rain. So I was working in the rain basically. But we have 14 cans to pass out this morning. So I threw a few extras in case I can sell any while I'm doing that. It's early Saturday, so I doubt anybody will be out and about. But all right, let's start the voiceover. Hi, this is Brad with Baker County Trash Pickup. Oh wait, I already said that. So I have to start off with some larger updates before we get into comments, just because the rest of this video won't make any sense. This was completely my fault, but I told everybody to still put their cans out Sunday, the day before Hurricane Debbie got to us, because I thought that if I woke up early enough, I might be able to beat the rain. So my wife and I got up at like 3:30 or 4 on Monday morning, and we got ready to go, and around 4 or 4:15, whatever time it was, it started raining. And the radar showed it wasn't going to stop. So unfortunately, trash pickup didn't happen till Tuesday. But because I told everybody to put their cans out Sunday, because we might get it Monday, about half the cans' lids got flipped open and rainwater got in them. This day, we've got more cans than we've ever put out, and about half of them weigh an extra 200 or 300 pounds because they've got water all in them. It was a nightmare. So you'll see me draining a lot of cans and bags, but it was entirely my fault. So, I don't have anybody to blame. It's just what it is. I learned a good lesson about trying to beat a hurricane. Don't. Just say, keep your cans at the house. We'll try and get it the day after the hurricane or something. You didn't see that. That did not happen. Another big update last week, which I believe was week 12. When I got to the landfill, some guy in a truck flagged me down, and I pulled over and I was like, are we dumping in a different spot today? Because he was flagging me down a different road. And right off the bat, he was like, no, you and I need to have a talk. I'm like, what in the world did I do? So it turns out he was the landfill director, and he had seen my videos. And at first, I think he thought I was going to try and fight him on what he was saying, because what he said was that I can't film in the landfill anymore. And he gave me some very good reasons. I don't know if they're supposed to be public knowledge, so I'm not going to repeat them. But he said, appreciate what you're doing. He asked if it was my wife who was with me. He introduced himself to both of us. He was polite the whole time, but you could tell from his voice when he started off, I didn't get the inclination he was happy. I don't know anything about him and his personality, though, so he may just be a gruffer type guy. But the impression I got was he was expecting me to either sass him back or be like, what are you talking about? I can film where I want. And of course, that is so not me. Like, I'm a guest in this guy's house. If he tells me not to film, like, how stupid would I have to be to fight the guy in charge of the place that I have to dump trash at? Like, what if he banned me? Like, it would shut my trash business down immediately. So I don't know if that's an inclination of the type of people he does normally deal with who want to give him sass back. But I was like, oh man, I'm so sorry. I obviously don't want to do anything that's going to impact you or the folks who work here negatively. So I apologize for that. I won't film in here anymore. Absolutely. It's not a problem. Like, I just kept saying that, and he was given, this is the reason why this is the reason why that. And I'm like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. I'm so sorry if I did get you in trouble, and it won't happen again. So his demeanor seemed to smooth a little bit after that. So I really do think he was thinking I was going to fight him on stuff. Like, no, I'm going to still film and you can't do it. Like, no, that's not me. So while normally I did the weekly recaps for the numbers at the end when you were seeing the landfill footage, we're not going to have that anymore, which honestly works out because I think I mentioned it in last week's video, so most of you probably know we did get a garbage truck. You will see it in next week's video, if not sooner, because that's the first time we use it. I have to be at the front of the truck to eject the trash out of the back. There isn't really any spot for me to mount a camera that gives a good camera angle. So I had no clue how I was going to get good shots of dumping the trash. Now I don't have to worry about it because I'm not allowed to film there anymore. So it's not an issue. But we won't have that footage anymore. So I think I'll switch the updates to the very beginning of the video. And in that way, if that's really all somebody wants to watch, you know, they don't have to stick around for it. So I passed out 14 cans. If you pay close attention, there's some variation in my numbers from week to week because I track everything on a spreadsheet, and that's when I sell somebody a can, not necessarily when I drop it off. So I have some people who they'll sign up, but they don't need the service for a week or two, and I think that's throwing my calculations off. So for that week, I sold 16 cans, but I'm only passing out 14. I must have passed some out sooner, or I didn't need to pass any out yet. I'm not 100% sure, and I don't care enough to find out that level of minutia. But we're now up to 49 cans, and we added 15 clients, brings us up to 43. So like I said, there's some variation in the numbers, especially if you're going off last week's video. But those final counts of 49 cans and 43 clients, that is accurate. It's just a matter of a couple of them got added either last week or this week. Now, I did mess up when tracking my gas for expenses. I did not fill the truck up fully before I started. I don't know if that's because I got sidetracked from the hurricane that was coming or what, but I'm just going to guess about $50 for gas. It was probably far less than that. I think I've been averaging a little under $30, but we did idle a lot longer because everything took longer. And the route was also a little bit bigger because I think I added a neighborhood. In any case, $50 is a very conservative estimate. And then I had about $37 in liners. Even though this is the last week I'm picking up with the dump trailer, which is why I put that title in there. This was like the eye-opener that, yeah, this dump trailer thing is... it's for the birds. It's a perfectly valid way to pick up trash. And we've got a young gentleman in our county. He's been doing trash pickup for years, and that's how he does it. He does it with I don't even believe it's a dump trailer. I think it's just a utility trailer. Super hard-working guy. I'm just too old for that nonsense, especially after a week like this where I saw what some serious rain can do. And when we look at next week, how easy that the trash truck is, oh my goodness, it's like night and day. I'm so glad we got the truck. But anyways, I digress. I'm talking about costs. I did put liners in just in case something happened to the truck and we couldn't pick it up. Because the issue is, if I don't have liners in and I've got to use the dump trailer to pick up manually, it just adds a ton of time. So I had to have the liners in there, even though I didn't think I was going to use them. That gives us costs of about $87. Income on those cans, somewhere around $422. 49 cans at about $8 a week, and then another 6 cans at $5 a week. Those are people who have 2 cans. Should give us $422. When we back those total costs out, we're left with around $335. Now, today took forever. It was a 6.5 hour run. Normally we're at 3.5 hours. But yeah, that rain really slowed us down. My wife was with me, so if you count her time, that's 13 man hours. This is also the last week that I will show the hourly rate without her time included, because starting as soon as we get the truck, she starts driving the truck. So we really are 2 people operating, and for these numbers to be accurate for you, for them to be helpful if you're planning your own trash business, both of our times need to be valued and factored in. If you just look at the 6.5 hours I worked, that hourly rate turns out to be $51.58 an hour, including her time as well. We were down to $25.79 an hour. If this is your first time watching, that isn't actually money we made. It's going to be years before this business makes any money. That's just one metric to show the amount of revenue we generated this week, how it would break down after our direct expenses to do the work if we were paying ourselves. I'll do a more comprehensive video on all the costs, probably at like a nice even 6-month mark or something like that. Since I don't pay for it, I forgot to mention how much we actually dumped. If you aren't familiar with my channel, the landfill that I go to is part of a tri-county landfill agreement thing between the county that I live in and 2 neighboring counties. Because of that, and because the trash I pick up is Baker County residents, the government of Baker County pays the dump fees for that waste. Because of all the water, we dumped 2,660 pounds of trash. That's the most we ever did. And That means I loaded a ton of trash, a ton and a quarter of trash by hand into that dump trailer this day. I would wager probably 1,000 pounds of that, maybe 800 was just water. Because there was still water in bags. There was water that had soaked into trash. At $30 a ton, if I had to pay for that, I would have also paid $39.90 in addition to those other costs that I mentioned. But since Baker County picks up the tab for me, that's not something I had to worry about. In last week's video, I mentioned why I don't want a CDL license. A lot of that had to do with the time and the cost involved. Many of you folks mentioned that what I would need is a Class B CDL. The courses I was looking at, I believe, are Class A CDLs, which is what you need to drive a truck and trailer combo. So this one was a good example of why I asked people to bag their trash, because they just threw like a whole tray of barbecue pork in. Their can's gonna be disgusting because it wasn't bagged. The Class B CDLs, from what I read in the comments, should be a shorter class, a cheaper class. So I'm doing some research on that. It didn't really change any of the other things about why I don't need a CDL right now. But if it is something that is cheaper and quicker, we may look into that sooner. I think we're probably good with this truck for quite a while. I don't see us needing to upgrade. But if my wife is still willing to work with me on these trash days, what we may end up doing if we get big enough is, like, there is an Isuzu FVR, which has a 33,000 pound gross vehicle weight rating, compared to the Isuzu NRR that we have now, which is a 19,000 something, 19.5, I think. And then 26,000 is that magic number where after 26,000, or another way of saying it is at 26,001 pounds, that's when you need that CDL. It's honestly way too soon to say what even kind of truck we would upgrade to. I don't know if that's something that would make sense for us, but if my wife is still willing to help, I love working with her. Like, I look so forward to Mondays because I get to spend all day with her. It's the silliest thing that I'm like looking forward to slinging trash, but it's just, a brief side note on my wife and I's relationship without getting too personal. We have met some folks who they freely admit that they and their spouse do not work well together, and it's not a good thing for them to work together or, to spend all day together. We know that everybody's different, so obviously I'm not passing judgment on anyone's relationships, but my wife and I are as far away from we need breaks from each other as you can get. My wife and I would be perfectly content with spending every minute of every day together. And aside from the times that I'm out mowing grass or doing some other, project type work in the lawn care landscape side of things, that's pretty much how we've got it set up. And now we're working together Mondays on this trash pickup day, so I'm just tickled pink about that. I could imagine some folks in the comments saying it's not a good idea for a husband and wife to work together. I mean, maybe in your personal experience, but it's one of the best things that's happened to me. We end up making each other laugh pretty much the whole day, which the stuff we laugh about is pretty stupid, so it's not something I'd ever bring you guys along on. We make jokes about the dumbest things that I'm sure you guys would be like, Brad's an idiot, which you already knew already. But that was a long way of saying I really like working with her on Mondays. And so my goal initially of I'm going to get a side loader so I can do it all myself, until she tells me she's not going to work with me anymore, I'm putting her in the driver's seat and we are running a rear loader. But that Class B CDL, that could be something we look at in the future. So I appreciate you guys letting me know about that. I realized at the end of that long speech that was all related to the Class B CDL, and I was like, man, I really went off on a tangent there. Another few comments about what are you going to do after Christmas, after Thanksgiving. We covered that last week. We're just going to deal with the extra trash. Unless it's like some kind of super obnoxious amount of trash, I don't think I'm going to charge people extra. With that rear loader, even though I've only been running it 2 weeks, it is such a night and day difference in that I don't really care what people are throwing away anymore because I don't have to lift it into the back and the machine munches it all up and smushes it. So before, like there was some guy who bought a Blackstone griddle and it was a big 36-inch box that he put on top of the trash can. That was when I was using the dump trailer. It was a week or two ago. And I'm like, oh man, this thing's going to take up so much space and it's not broken down and da 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 da. And this guy obviously didn't set out to ruin my day by throwing away his trash. But because I had to worry about space and everything, I was like, oh man, this thing's going to take up a ton of space and I don't have I'm just like, this is stupid. With the garbage truck, I have not cared one thing about what people have thrown away. Hey, if they're not bagging their trash, guess what? I don't care anymore. And it's such a nice feeling because the clients I have, they aren't trying to like make my life miserable by not doing bags. They aren't thinking about me. They're not trying to do something mean, but it was a pain in the butt. And that's all I could think about during the 2 or 3 minutes I was, picking that trash. But now it makes it so much nicer. And if they don't bag trash, I don't care. And I don't have to charge them extra for it like it's some kind of a penalty fee because it's not a big deal anymore. So I'm really liking that aspect of having a truck. It kind of has disconnected me from the only part of the job that I didn't really love. A follow-up question on the dump trailer. They asked if I'd be interested in renting it out instead of selling it. You don't have to drop it off in remote places. The customers can pick it up, just slap a for rent sign on the back, send it out for $200 a week. That's $800 a month to pay for it. And meanwhile, you can keep it as a backup for the garbage truck. Not a terrible idea, but here's the things I see as reasons why I wouldn't want to do it. When you get into renting stuff, you really have to be okay with the fact that somebody is going to mess up your equipment. It's not a matter of if, it is when. They will break your equipment. Like the guy that I used to rent a dump trailer from locally, it was brand new and some tree guy rented it and just absolutely mangled one of the fenders. They bent one of the pins for the ramps. It was a brand new trailer and it immediately got trashed and the guy who was renting it had to fix it. I'm not good with stuff like that. Like if I give someone equipment and they do not return it in the state it was, I have it's a me problem, but I have problems reconciling that, and it makes me angry and I hold a grudge and that kind of thing. And so that's not a good line of business for me to be in. The other thing is the reward of a $200 a week rental versus the risk of them breaking something. Maybe they overload it and blow a hydraulic line. Like, there's not enough money in there for me to be interested in it. And especially if I'm trying to sell it, every time I rent it, I run the risk of them doing damages that lower the end resale value, right? Maybe they blow a tire and I've got to repair that, or maybe they lock the tires up and all 4 of them now have flat spots. So that's, probably $1,000 in repair there. It's just not worth it for the relatively little amount of money that it would get. And as far as keeping it as a backup to the garbage truck, there's so much manual work involved. Even now, as we're talking, I've added another, I think, 15 cans. So we're quickly passing the amount where I could do the route with a dump trailer in one stop. I'd have to do multiple landfill stops. So let's say something happened to the truck. I could use the dump trailer as a backup, but it's going to be so much more inefficient because each stop now, they won't have bags in them because I've been using the garbage truck. So I'm going to have to bag everything, and that's going to take a ton of time. And then obviously lifting everything into the dump trailer, throwing it in, that's a ton of effort. So let's say that, 1 day route that I do with the garbage truck, if it breaks, now takes me 2 days. Or if it's 2 days with the garbage truck, maybe it takes me 4 days or 5 days with the dump trailer. Does it make sense to do that and then at the end of that time still have a broken truck that I have to fix? Or does it make more sense to just say, hey guys, it's Monday and the truck went down. We're going to delay pickup 2 days while we get it fixed. We're sorry, but we'll see you on Wednesday. And then I've got 2 days to fix the truck and I don't break my back for 4 days doing a garbage run that's really too large for a dump trailer. I think I'm leaning in that direction rather than trying to make it work with a dump trailer, just because it's going to be so much more work. And at the end of all that work, I'm still going to have to fix the garbage truck. Those are my thoughts without ever running into that situation. So, I could be wrong, but that's what my thinking is leaning me towards. More folks mentioning bin cleaning, especially now that I'm probably not going to be using liners moving forward. Well, I'm not using liners moving forward. I don't know why I said probably. Garbage can cleaning is definitely something that I'm looking at, but it's going to be long term. I've still got, 100-something cans sitting on the back patio that I've got to get out. I've got this garbage truck we've just invested in. This is kind of along the same lines as folks who say, oh, you need to start doing recycling services. No, I need to get all the assets that I've purchased utilized 100%, and then I can worry about, expanding business lines. I just need to get all those cans out first. Then I can worry down the road about, do we spend another whatever thousands of dollars on a trash bin cleaning trailer or setup or whatever that looks like. It's just not for right now. I think a lot of times folks in the comments, they think that as long as you're making money, it's worth doing. Like, oh, just offer garbage bin cleaning because then you'll be making more money. But the issue is, I've already invested in stuff that could be making me more money if I take the time to sell more trash cans. Like, selling more trash cans will make me more money than going and buying garbage bin cleaning equipment and selling that. Selling the trash cans that I already have on garbage service will make me more money than offering recycling services. And that's even if you don't look at the fact that both of those things, garbage bin cleaning and recycling, those will require even more thousands of dollars to get into. I'll have to put in an order for new cans for recycling. I'll have to buy, some kind of pressure washer trailer or whatever for garbage bin cleaning. Those investments are not worth it when I've got 100 cans just sitting here waiting to be put out. And those could be making $8 a week for, a minute's worth of work if I can put them in neighborhoods where I'm already driving around. Another comment, a suggestion for dirt roads, I would just tell them if the road is wet, you will not get picked up that week. That would work, but the whole reason I say no to dirt roads is they are potential headaches. And if I can fill my route with homes that are not potential headaches, there's no sense in me taking on potential headaches. If I tell them if the road's wet, I'm not going to pick it up. What does wet mean? If there's any rain at all, if there's standing puddles, that is a subjective statement that somebody's going to have to draw the line on, and it's going to be different for every person, which means you're going to have people who say, Brad could have picked up today and he didn't, and I don't like that. The other thing is, with Hurricane Debbie, there were tons of roads that were literally underwater. I would have had to ford them like Oregon Trail to get through them, or they would have just had to sit and wait a week. If the roads dry out in 5 days, I'm not going to go 2 days early because every single time I load up that garbage truck, I have to go dump it. I'm not going to sit there with trash in it. So the landfill has to be open. I have to go dump it. That's about an hour and a half of commitment time right there. It's about another 1 to 2 hours to pressure wash and clean that machine. So I'm only going to do pickups on Mondays, which means even if I could do it earlier, I'm not going to. At that point, you are messing with people's patience. You're testing their patience about how long they're going to wait. What if something happens on week 2 trash pickup day and we get more rain that day? Now it's 3 weeks. So you can try and make dirt road pickups work however you want to. You can say, well, what about this or what about that? At the end of the day, for me, it just doesn't make sense because why wouldn't I just try and find customers on paved roads that I'm never going to have an issue with versus trying to make this, to me, bad decision of dirt roads work by saying, well, if it rains, I won't pick it up. And, if it's 3 weeks, they'll just have to deal with it. Like, I don't think that's going to end well. And I don't want to put my truck on the dirt road because a winch out's $250 at least. If I get stuck and winched out, there's still no guarantee I could even get to those cans that I was trying to in the first place. So it's like, is it even worth trying? It's just one of those things where the margins on trash pickup are so small too. It's like, I'm getting $8 for a pickup. Normally this is the end of the route, but one of our roads was closed from one end, so we're gonna try and get it from another. Is $8, if there's only one person down a dirt road, is that worth risking the winch out, getting stuck? I don't think it is, but I mean, that's for every person to decide. Today sucks about 12 different ways, but I mean, it's a hurricane. What are you gonna do? Here is the trailer. We are almost completely full. There's some room up at the front. There's some room right here, but pretty much all back. I've been throwing bags back, so it's like full. All this stuff is full. I actually should have probably scooped some over because there's room on this side. That's over full. I don't think it'll be a problem though, with all the bungees on everything. The timing on this one was weird. Normally I'd have done her property like a long time ago, but the road is closed down there, so I had to come from the other direction. She had trees down in her driveway, so she was in the driveway and she asked for help. So I pulled a couple of these things out and pulled the trees out of the way. But anyways, all that to say, I'm pretty much pooped. But here's the trailer. I think this is our first week with all those new customers, so we did 43 stops. I want to say we're right around 50 cans. Aside from, I think, 2 that I couldn't figure out where they were, I got everybody's cans, even if they didn't bring them out to the street, because I didn't want them to think, you know, it's real confusing about when I was coming because of the storm. So I just want to make sure everybody's trash cans were emptied in case there's more issues from this storm. So, all right, let's head to the landfill. Well, folks, I'm excited for next week. You're going to get to see the truck. Be patient with me when I try and figure out camera angles. I'm figuring out how to mount to that truck so you guys can watch and follow along. I've gotten some different mounts coming here soon that in a few weeks you'll see the different angles. So, but the first couple videos are probably going to be rough because I'm just sticking it wherever I can think to, and I'm sure they're not the best camera angles. But very excited for you to see the truck next week. Thank you guys so much for sticking around and tagging along with this ride, and we'll see you in the next one.